This week, Moscow skies turned into a battlefield for 2 nights in a row. Ukraine unleashed a wave of drone strikes, piercing deep into Russia's heartland, shaking the capital, rattling the Kremlin, and sending a powerful message just days before Russia's most symbolic holiday, Victory Day. With foreign dignitaries on high alert and Putin's grand military parade hanging in the balance, a chilling question looms larger than ever. How safe is Moscow, and what happens if Zelensky dares to strike again? This is a moment Russia and the world cannot ignore. Ukraine has launched drone attacks on Russia, targeting Moscow and its key regions, according to Reuters. Russian war bloggers reported that Ukraine led a new land-based incursion into the area backed by armored vehicles on May 16. Reuters, citing the regional governor, reported that the Ukrainian forces attacked a power substation in the western Kursk region of Russia. Reuters noted that officials on both sides of the border reported deaths from military activity and ordered evacuations of several settlements. In a post on Telegram, Kursk, Governor Alexander Kinch, Dean said Ukrainian forces had struck the substation in the town of Risk, about 50 kilometers from the border, injuring 2 teenagers. 2 transformers were damaged and power cut to the area. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said Russia intercepted over a dozen drones headed towards Moscow overnight on May 5th and 6th. Sobyanin added that air defense units intercepted 19 drones flying towards Moscow from different directions. According to photos from the scene published by ART, at least one of the drones hit a residential building in the south of the city. Sobyanin added that the first 5 drones were intercepted by 1:16 a.m. Then another drone was down about 30 minutes later, followed by 3 more drones, which were all en route to the Russian capital. Shortly before 2 a.m. at 2:17 a.m., Sobyanin declared that the air defense destroyed 10 more drones, raising the total to at least 19 intercepted UAV. The Moscow mayor claimed that debris from one of the drones reportedly fell on the Kasha-Sky Highway, a major Moscow road. Speaking about the consecutive attacks, Sobyanin said, "According to preliminary information, there are no serious injuries or casualties. However, all necessary measures are being taken. Specialists from the emergency services are working at the sites where the incidents occurred." The drone threat triggered temporary shutdowns at Russia's Vnukovo, Domodedovo, Zakhovsky, and Sheremetyevo airports, in addition to all 4 Moscow airports. The Kyiv Independent reported that restrictions were also introduced at the Grub Siberia airport in Russia's Kaluga Oblast, following the Ukrainian strike on Moscow. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov declared on May 6 that Russian forces were still planning a ceasefire in Ukraine. However, it would give a befitting response to the Ukrainian forces if it tried to strike Russian positions. There will be a ceasefire, but in the event that there is no reciprocity on the part of the Kyiv regime and attempts to strike our positions or our facilities continue, then an appropriate response will be given immediately. President Putin's initiative on a temporary ceasefire for the public holidays is valid, and relevant instructions have been given to the military by the Supreme Commander-in-Chief that Ukraine's drone attack came days before Moscow's Victory Day parade. Which is set to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, an event Russia celebrates annually on May 9th this year. The parade will feature the attendance of several Russian allies and a keynote address by President Vladimir Putin in line with the occasion. Under Putin, Victory Day has evolved into one of Russia's most significant public holidays, featuring a grand display of military power since the launch of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in early 2022. The day has taken on even deeper symbolic meaning, with the Kremlin increasingly invoking World War II narratives to justify its actions in Ukraine. But amid Ukrainian drone attacks, how secure is Putin's Victory Day parade expected to be? Last week, Putin proposed a temporary ceasefire from May 7th to 9 to coincide with the Victory Day celebrations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dismissed the proposal as a theatrical performance designed to create a favorable atmosphere in Moscow. They kill until the 7th, pause for a couple of comfortable days, then start attacking again on the 11th. Security concerns have grown as Russian forces intercepted multiple drones during parade rehearsals in Moscow in light of the escalating risks. Zelensky issued a stark warning regarding the safety of foreign dignitaries attending the event. Our position is very simple for all countries traveling to Russia on May 9th. We cannot be held responsible for what happens on Russian territory. They are responsible for your safety. We will not provide any guarantees because we do not know what Russia might do on those dates. But what if Zelensky actually strikes Moscow? A direct strike on the Victory Day parade could have severe consequences, like casualties among Russian officials and foreign guests. But besides that, it would escalate the war, provoke a massive Russian military response, and risk alienating international support for Ukraine. Additionally, it could harm Ukraine's moral standing and complicate its diplomatic efforts, particularly with cautious allies. Meanwhile, Zelensky's comments have sparked diplomatic tensions with Slovakia. Prime Minister Robert Fico sharply criticizing the warning. It has also led to high-ranking guests mulling whether to attend the parade. Robert Fico recently canceled several public appearances, so it remains unclear whether Fico will attend the parade. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, who had also planned to attend alongside Fico, fell ill, casting doubt on his participation. Fico and Voltage were the only European leaders to announce their intention to attend the parade. While European leaders may stay away, Moscow will welcome its most strategic ally, China, according to Kremlin sources. The Chinese President, Xi Jinping, will pay an official visit to Russia from May 7th to tend to take part in the anniversary events. However, it remains to be seen who all take part in Moscow's celebrations on May 5th. Trump showered praises on his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, for his decision to announce a ceasefire in Ukraine. The U.S. president said Putin's proposal for a 3-day ceasefire is a significant step towards a peace settlement. I think we're in a good position to settle. They want to settle. Ukraine wants to settle. If I weren't president, nobody would be settling there, losing 5,000 people a day. Think of it here. We talk about football. They're losing 5,000 people on average a week, mostly Russian soldiers and Ukrainian soldiers. 5,000 a week, not including people that are, killed as missiles go into areas that they shouldn't be. That it's a very terrible thing. And I think where we've come a long way, and it could be something will happen, but hopefully it will. As you know, President Putin just announced a 3-day ceasefire, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot. If you knew where we started from, because we had a president that for 3 years didn't speak to Putin, and it all shouldn't have happened. This is a war that should have never happened. And you're going to be very disappointed when you find out the real number of people that were killed is far greater, many times greater, I believe, but far greater than the numbers that you're putting out. It's a very, very deadly, horrible war. Okay. Meanwhile, when asked about a possible meeting between Trump and Putin in Saudi Arabia, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that Putin had no trips to the Middle East planned for mid-May. However, Peskov mentioned that such a meeting is clearly on the radar and vengeance should be. No, the president does not have a trip to the Middle East in mid-May on his schedule. But on the other hand, we have repeatedly said that such a meeting is clearly on everyone's lips. And in many ways, we think it is certainly necessary that IT must be prepared accordingly. And this requires efforts at a variety of expert levels. This requires continuing contacts between Moscow and Washington, which have been launched and are currently ongoing. But so far, there are no specifics on this matter. With Victory Day approaching and the skies growing ever more hostile, one question remains: will the parade mark a celebration of history or the ignition of a dark chapter in the war yet to be seen?